All right, y'all. Well, we are back on Rooted and Radiant. I am your host, Ashley, and I am so excited that you are here. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode with my girly pop, Jody Campbell. We talked all things how God uses your personality for your purpose. And today, we're talking about how purpose isn't always glamorous. I think that we have glamorized purpose, and it's actually making a lot of us feel like we're missing it. You got the social media version versus the real life version. But what if the season you're in right now is purpose? Just doesn't look like how you thought it would. So I'm going to talk about what purpose actually looks like and some of the lies that we've believed about it. But as always, I want you to leave every single episode feeling challenged, feeling encouraged, and feeling inspired. Let's do this. Okay. I want to talk about the lie that we've believed about purpose. I truly don't believe a lot of us are off track. I think we've just believed the wrong things about purpose. I'm going to go through 5 different lies. Lie number 1. Purpose should always feel exciting. The truth is, purpose is often built in consistency. Not every single day is going to feel fulfilling or exciting. It's about being faithful, and it's not about your feelings. Lie number 2. If it's God's purpose, it will be quick and clear. Purpose unfolds over time. There are seasons where you do not fully understand, but the clarity will come through obedience. Lie number 3. Purpose has to be big and visible. Purpose is often found in small, everyday moments. The way you show up daily matters. You don't need an audience to have impact. Lie number 4. If no one sees it, it doesn't matter. God works in the unseen. Growth is happening beneath the surface. Those hidden seasons are not wasted. And lie number 5, you have to feel ready to walk in purpose. Purpose requires obedience, not perfection. You won't always feel equipped. You grow as you go. And I want to read a scripture to y'all. In 2 Corinthians 12 and 9, it says, each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ can work through me. Maybe it's not that you're off track. Maybe your expectation of purpose just needed to be realigned. And I want to tell you something. So this month marks 3 years that I have had Rooted and Radiant, which started out as Here We Go. And this, to me, showing up every week, putting out an episode for the last 3 years, didn't feel like it mattered. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that people don't see or people don't understand that goes into podcasting. You get to see the final product and you're like, wow, that's cool. It looks professional. You see the lighting and all of that, but you don't see the behind the scenes. You don't see planning the content. You don't see planning out the months, the topics, all of those things. And so there are times where this does not feel like it matters showing up every week. It doesn't feel like it matters posting and putting out new content. And a couple of weeks ago, I got a message from someone that I do not know. And she talked about how encouraged she felt and how she appreciated my realness, my consistency, and how I show up. Now, I'm going to be real. I didn't want to put out this episode this week. I didn't want to, but I understand now that purpose doesn't always feel exciting. It's not always going to feel fulfilling in every single moment. But when I get those messages like I did a few weeks ago of how impacted they were that I showed up, it reminded me that it matters and that it's about faithfulness. It's about consistency. It's not about how I feel. And I tell that to you to encourage you that you're not always going to see the impact of what you're doing. You're not always going to see the impact of your consistency. But I promise you, you will over time. And maybe the problem isn't that you're not walking in your purpose. Maybe you haven't been able to discover it yet because you haven't been consistent long enough. Maybe you've started and stopped too much. Maybe you didn't sow the seeds enough for God to really produce the harvest and the things that He desired for you. So I want you to understand what purpose actually looks like. So number one, purpose looks like consistency. It looks like showing up when no one is watching, doing the same things over and over, choosing discipline over feelings. And this is something that I've talked about before, and I get this message a lot from a lot of people on social media. They're like, how do you stay so motivated? How do you stay so consistent when it comes to working out? I always see you working out. The reality is, I'm not motivated. Maybe 2% of the time I'm motivated. But because I've been consistent long enough, the discipline kicks in. So regardless of how I feel, I'm showing up. I'm choosing discipline over my feelings. Today, I did not want to work out, but I had to remind myself, number one, I made a promise to myself that I intend to keep. Number two, I'm in a challenge right now with my girlfriends, Annalise and Jody, and I will not lose, and I will not be consistent. We're doing 10K steps every single day for the month of April, and your girl has not missed a day, okay? But I promise you today, I wanted to miss. I was at 850 steps at 5 p.m., and the goal is 10K. So nowhere near the goal. But that discipline kicked in. That consistency overtook my body because I've done it long enough. So understand it's not always going to be exciting, but it's always intentional. Number two, purpose looks like unseen growth. Internal before external. You're healing, you're stretching, you're becoming. Just because no one else can see it doesn't mean nothing is happening. It's just like when you put a seed into the ground and you water it, you have to have a level of faith because you know the seed is going to come up, but it doesn't look like it every day when you water it. You don't immediately see the fruit or the crop. It takes time and patience. Number three, purpose looks like obedience. Doing what God asked, even when it feels small. Trusting without immediate results. Obedience will take you further than visibility ever could. Now, number four, I want to talk about, which I feel like after having conversations with a lot of my friends right now, is the in-between season. And let's talk about it. It's not where you were, not yet where you're going. Maybe you feel confused. Maybe you feel like things are moving slow. Maybe you feel overlooked. But this is something that I'm learning currently, real time, this is where your character is built. This is where alignment happens. The in between isn't a delay, it's development. So I want to encourage you, if you're in the in between like I am, that you're not behind, you're not missing it. This season still counts. And a scripture that I have been anchoring myself in is Romans 8:28 that says, all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So, some of the most important parts of your purpose are never going to be public, but they will always be powerful. If you didn't take anything else from today, I want you to understand that purpose is not always glamorous, but it's always meaningful. So I want you to slow down for a second and I want you to think about where in your life might you already be walking in purpose. And maybe you didn't think it would look like what you thought it was. I want you to share this episode with someone that is maybe in a quiet season. And I want to challenge you today. What if the season that you're in right now ended and you knew a new season was coming tomorrow and it would have everything you've prayed for, everything you believed for, everything you asked for? Would you be able to go in that season saying that you were grateful? Would you be able to go in that season saying that you shifted your perspective? Instead of saying, why me? You said, why not me? God, what are you trying to teach me? What are you trying to develop in me? What am I missing? What lesson are you trying to teach me? Because nothing God does, he does without a purpose. So if your season was ending tomorrow and someone was saying, how was your last season? Or they were saying, how you end this season is how you enter the next one. Would you be excited about that? Would it be a testimony? Would it be encouraging to the person you're sharing that story with? I really want you to think about that. Because the enemy would love for you to be discouraged. He'd love for you to walk around upset and frustrated. But use it as an opportunity to go closer to God and ask yourself some really, really hard questions. Because if it was easy, would it require faith? If it was easy, would it require any refinement and challenge? And would you able to see a different side of God? To know him as your provider? To know him as your provider, you need to be in situations where God needs to show up and provide. So I want to challenge you in that. I'd love to hear what you got out of today's episode. So send me a message on Instagram. If you're not following me, it's Rooted and Radiant Pod. And I appreciate y'all so much for showing up every week. And I love y'all. And I will see y'all next week, Thursday, 8 a.m.